kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow motion, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are live here for the XMS Ricmotech Cup Series. My name is Liam Irving, and I am joined up in the booth by Jordan Brockle. Jordan, how you doing tonight?
Doing wonderful. It's going to be a great, evening. Get to see these guys maybe roll the dice a little bit here in Vegas. Shoot some blackjack and see what they can come away with.
Yeah, we're sitting here at the mile and a half in the desert here. Just got a couple of seconds left here in the qualifying session. So it looks like Michael Scottless Rambler is going to start this race where he finished last week, right up front.
Yeah, and not by as much as last week, but I think it's going to be great to see him get into a little bit of a battle this week and be tested for that lead.
And McConey Setup Shop number 57 Toyota is looking strong as he starts on the pole. He's got Jacob Jensen to his outside. Then we've got Alan Fox, David Elliott, Jacob Brower, last night's winner in the Xfinity Series at Rockingham. David Snook, Caleb Lamb, Michael Thwaites, Rob Haynes, and Logan Koger rounding out your top 10. Then we've got Daniel Krim, Taylor Bertram, Brandon Storer, Michael Caffrey, Dalton Fredericks, Joshua Vidal, Stephen Timko, Wyatt Franklin, Jake Zito, and Marco Evans rounding out the top 20. Rounding out the field is Alex Relling, Jonathan Cogswell, Douglas Carlson, Gary Wells, Ted Pullen, Nick Renner. And, well, that's going to do it. Michael Eden was, I don't think, supposed to be here. So, he will not be taking the race start. However, we've got 26 drivers that are hungry to take this race start. Let's see if we can't maybe get a couple of words in with your pole sitter, number 57, Scott Ramler. Give us just one moment to get him up with us. All right, now we've got the pole sitter, Scott Ramler, with us in the booth. Scott, it's Liam and Jordan up at the booth. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you guys tonight?
Doing pretty good. We're excited to watch you guys get to battling here at Las Vegas. Although we hope that maybe the action is a little bit closer for you than it was last week in Coda. But you know, you're starting off strong, picking up right where you left off. What's under the hood of that thing?
It's about, what is it? 575, 600 horsepower. I can't remember what it is, and an idiot behind the wheel. So we'll have to see. The track is hotter than snot right now. So I think anybody that's going to try and extend this first stage is going to run into a whole bunch of trouble because you have to slow way down to save that much fuel. And with the heat of the track, I don't know how long we're going to go without a caution.
You would probably anticipate stage number 1 being a one stopper, and then maybe 2 stops for stage number 2.
2 stops at least for stage 2, depending on when we go green. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with the track at just over 130 degrees. I think it was 131 when we got done with qualifying here, and it's should get a little bit hotter. We'll probably see up to about 135, and these tires are going to be melting even as hard as they are.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you guys got. A hot, slick track is going to make things extra fun for us up here in the booth. Best of luck to you for the moving forward in this race.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one and enjoy the show, guys.
All right, so just give me 1 second here. All right, now we're good to go.
You know, and sitting here thinking about it, you know, this is really going to be a crazy race, if I can say so myself. You know, 130-degree track temp, that's going to be very difficult to manage. And, you know, like Ramler said, the tires are going to practically be, you know, melting off of these cars. You're going to have to find a way to, you know, save what tire you can and really try to, you know, keep them things from being, you know, overheated and keep the car under you.
Yeah, it's a tall task for these drivers here. 150 laps under the baking sun in the desert of Nevada. Pace car's ready to make that hard left turn. Scott Ramler leads them coming up off of turn number 4, waiting for that green flag to be thrown up into the air. There we go. Green flag is out. We are racing here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and it looks like David Elliott tried to time that jump just a bit and kind of gave Jensen there a little bit of a push, and you know, he kind of got himself sleeping on the start there.
Already looking at 3 wide action just outside the top 5. There's David Elliott. Looking up on the top side in that pink and blue rush hour machine. A little bit squirrely for a lot of these guys here in the first lap.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be really getting full throttle off the corner anytime soon tonight.
Oh, Daniel Crimp getting right up next to that wall behind Elliott. Keeps it off. So far, so good in these first couple of laps. Looking towards the back here, Douglas Carlson. He's pulling back a little bit in that 86 machine. There's Nick Renner going through onto the bottom side. Splitting number 13, Jake Zito in the middle. Alex Relling up to the top side. Alan Fox in second place, just put down the fastest lap of the race.
And we see that a lot of these multi-grooves are already being used. You know, the field really fanning out into the corners and kind of narrowing into that wall on corner exit. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of different lanes, people finding, what lane can save a little bit better, but, also looking for the fastest lane at the same time and trying to find that happy medium between the two.
Yeah, that happy medium, we're going to talk about that a lot, especially, one in the wall towards the back, looked to be Relling in the 42. Getting up into the wall, coming up off of turn number 2. Keep an eye on that. Doesn't seem to have slowed him down. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that happy medium. Oh, almost a little bit of contact there, and loose coming up off was Ted Pullen that was Gary Wells in 33. Good save for him. He's now got Jake Zito to his outside.
Yeah, that's definitely a hold on for dear life, a little bit of a pucker moment for him there.
Looks like there might be a bit of a scrape on that right front of the 42. No fast repairs, so they'll have to pull that fender out manually.
Yeah, and this track may not be a super speedway, but aero is still very relevant here. It is a larger track, so he's going to want to definitely get that pulled out and try to keep that aero good. And we've talked about it numerous times this season already. These next gen cars are very aero dependent. They drive aero, they block aero. So he's going to want that fixed.
Action all over at the back here. There's the 86 of Carlson getting into the grass. Got loose coming up off of the corner. He's able to keep it straight and off of other cars. Ted Pullen moves down to the inside, trying to make a pass on Michael Caffrey. With that green and white being listed as the number 77, but I'm not showing a number on the side there. Battles all over this racetrack, and we hear them say that a lot as, wow, that was a close 3-wide moment, and I don't think Nick Renner knew he was 3 wide as he moves up and almost hits the door of Joshua Vidal.
Yeah, that was a scary moment there. Vidal looks like maybe he backs out just a tad, and I don't see these guys really ever getting these cars fully under them. Normally as we run, you kind of get a little bit tighter throughout a run, tires wear in. But I see these guys, even after the tires get a good bit of wear on them, I still seeing them having a little bit of slide off of the corners and struggling to keep the car under them.
They definitely are. As we look out front, that Rooster hometown market of Nick Renner, number 9, Toyota Camry. See Alex Relling. That wall contact doesn't hurt him at all. He is putting in the work as he goes around Storer. Now, Renner's going to try to follow him through on the inside. Makes pretty quick work of him. Yeah,
and Relling is typically one of the more frontward racing people, racing drivers in this series. So, I think he's got a little bit more confidence to kind of throw that car around. And, it looks like I think Rambler grabbed the wall a little bit there. If not, he was very freaking close to it.
Yeah, he was trying
Relling.
Sorry.
I think Relling would definitely has a little bit more confidence than some of these guys here in the back of the field.
Yeah, and it seemed like Scott Rambler, he was trying to get up onto the top side of the racetrack, right up next to the wall. Look at these two completely different lines here. As now we've got a race for the lead. To the inside goes Alan Fox. Rambler again really close to the outside wall, and Fox is still there. Rambler's going to be stuck up on the outside.
I'm actually surprised to not see Jensen up there as well, because we saw him at Rockingham last night, way up against the wall, pretty much further up the wall than anybody last night. But he's kind of following in suit, just trying to figure out which line is going to move him forward. And now as I say it, I eat my words. He moves up to the top a little bit, about that mid lane, and has that good drive off. Gonna look to a crossover there, but doesn't quite have enough.
Yeah, he got a nice run coming up on Allen out of turn 4. Too much speed, had to take it up to the top, and yeah, like you mentioned last night, he was very keen on running that outside, but this is a totally different style of car, a totally different style of track. Got to play things a little bit different here, and now Jensen tries that bottom side once again, following Alan Fox down on the inside.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if he has the broadcast on and just heard me say that and said, hey, well, let me try that out.
Well, he's still trying on the bottom of Jacob Jensen. He's able to utilize all of the racetrack that he wants to. Now he moves up to the top side for second. He's got the nose out front across the start-finish line. Fox is going to try to stay there, but he's got nothing. Puts the nose back on the inside throughout the corner, but that mid lane is working really strong for Jacob Jensen. He's going to get through to second place and now set his sights on the race leader. Appreciate everybody tuning in live here on YouTube. Got Alan Fox currently sitting in third. He's jumped in the chat a couple times, living the dream. Rooting on Fox. Heard that 9 car is ready to rumble, says Ren 10-4. Who could that be? Maxwell Shade says Thwaites for the win. Got a lot of fans of these drivers out here in the chat, so by all means, let us know who you're rooting for. We'll be sure to give them some love on the television. Get them some screen time. Relling gets up into the wall once again, coming up off of turn 2.
Yeah, and I think Thwaites been showing some good, some strategy calls to get himself in positions to have some good finishes. Had that call at Coda where, he came down before the stage break, got himself in the lead, after everybody else pit at the stage break. Wasn't necessarily able to hold off some of those guys that came in and were kind of the class of the field that night, but was definitely able to kind of flip his script, go from towards the back of the field right up into the top 5, top 10, and put a really good run in and finished fairly well. Where did Brower come from?
I was just getting ready to say that. He chased down the top 3, as now these guys are racing amongst themselves. Brower's done a great job of holding on to his tires. He seems to make quick work of these two, moves himself into second place, and now he's got a clear shot on your race leader as Alan Fox moves down to the inside of Jacob Jensen once again for third place.
I mean, talk about change of events. I mean, I feel like we weren't that long, on Thwaites there, and it was basically a 3-car race. These guys were under a blanket, and then we flip back, and there's Brower just saying, "Excuse me, like I'm here."
I don't know if you noticed how sideways Jensen got in the corner behind that 73. How he's sliding up the racetrack. That car isn't handling as good as he wants it to. Fox is going to try to cross him over, but doesn't quite have enough space. Here comes Jacob Brower looking down to the bottom side, and he's got a lot of speed in that 3 machine. Had a lot of speed last night in Rockingham, hoping to keep that momentum going. His Rambler touches the wall just a little bit coming up off of turn number 4. Not enough to slow him down as we've got David Snook with a problem down the front straightaway. Logan Koger around and the caution comes out.
Wow, that's going to be a little bit of a heart stopper for some of these guys. Brower was on a mission.
He really was. He was about ready to take that race lead and probably another half a lap or so, but alas, now we get a pit stop. Well, I'm pretty sure this is going to allow these guys to make it to the end on fuel, but 30 laps, or to the end of the stage, I should say, but 30 laps on these tires, we saw how these guys were already starting to struggle. Let's take a look to see what happened here to bring out our first caution of the race. Going to be Koger and Snook coming up off of turn number 4 here. Oh, and the 25 just got loose and came down. Oh, who was that?
I want to say it was the 83 by chance? 83, 82? Yeah, it was the 83 of Brandon Stower, maybe?
I believe that was where... that was Josh Vidal. It was in front of Vidal.
Feel like we need to start playing the Who song, the Who Are You?
Could be, as wholesale pit stops are completed. Scott Ramler, first one off. Jacob Brower, then Rob Haynes, Michael Thwaites, Alan Fox, Jacob Jensen, David Elliott, Dalton Fredericks, Caleb Lamb, and Taylor Bertram.
And going back to your point, where you were saying, these guys are starting to struggle, and Brower kind of came out of nowhere. I'm kind of wondering if Brower wasn't necessarily pushing his car as hard as those three who were interchanging lead position, second, third. They were all swapping positions there, and Brower saw it, picked up the pace just a touch to kind of stay with them, and after they kind of settled it out and basically warmed their tires up and kind of killed their cars in a sense, and having to kind of cool those tires back down, he just hit the go and was able to capitalize on those guys trying to reset.
Yeah, but now everybody kind of knows that hand. So we'll see who pushes hard, who tries to pull it back here at the midway point here of the first stage. It'll be about 27, 28 laps to go here in the stage when we take the green flag.
Yeah, and it's not a ton of time, so I think these guys are gonna kind of flirt that line of pushing versus saving, because they're all gonna come down at lap 50. There's not a chance that I think anybody stays out at lap 50. I mean, I think you're just going to set yourself up to get run over and beat around. So, I think we're going to see some guys maybe hang back a little bit to get the same kind of run that they saw Brower getting. And then I think you're going to see some of these guys towards the back of the field really make a push to try to get themselves in a better position.
We've got a lot more questions than we do have answers at this point in the game. Gonna let that pace car make the hard left turn once again. Put the field in the hands of the 57 Toyota Camry. It's got Brower to his outside. Green flag is in the air, and a strong restart there for Ramler. He's gonna get away by a couple of car lengths.
Yeah, and with getting those restarts, he's going to be able to figure out real quick if he's able to save his stuff a little bit, or if he's going to be hunted here.
Battle for second place. Heating up right now. Brower to the top side. He's got Haynes looking bottom. Oh, if you're Brower, how hard do you push?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would necessarily push too hard. I would just kind of stay in that little bit of an area where you can keep Ramler in view and at striking distance. I mean, it looks like he's already just going to take his position and really run away. But I think he was going. I would have kind of sat there and kind of kept him at bay and held off everybody behind you and then made your move. But Brower is not. He is a lot more of a strategic racer than I will ever be. So I think whatever he's going to do is going to be best.
There's a reason he's down there leading the race, and we're up here calling the race. He's obviously a very talented driver here as he's taken over the race lead over now in second place, Scott Ramler. And Rob Haynes in third, Alan Fox, and Jacob Jensen rounding out the top five, who are all single file. Dalton Fredericks is under fire from Michael Thwaites. That's for sixth place. As Rob Haynes looked to the top side of Ramler there, but nowhere to go.
Yeah, I feel like Rambler might even be kind of doing what I was saying, kind of laying off a little bit. You know, I mean, Brower's not really getting far, so I don't think Brower's pushing as hard as I initially thought he was going to. Um, you know, he maybe just wanted to grab the lead and kind of control the race, but you know, Rambler's kind of seeming like he's just letting him have the lead and maybe make a push towards the end of this stage.
It might be the call, but it doesn't look like Rob Haynes is worried about saving much right now. He is all over the rear bumper of that 57. There goes Fox. Now he's side by side with Jensen. Thwaite still trying to work the inside of the 20 of Fredericks. Nick Redder came to play. He's got a couple of them trying to get around him. Up on his rear bumper is the 26 of Vidal. And the 51 to his inside. It's Caleb Lamb. Redder's going to be able to stay in front of both of those guys. And now Vidal runs to the outside, trying to take that position away from Lamb. That's for 9th place. Right up into the wall goes Vidal, though. That's easy to do here on this front straightaway.
Yeah, we've seen these guys kind of drifting off corner and into corner, just kind of, as I say, he does it, you know, he grabs that corner. You know, I feel like they're overestimating the drive off that these cars get, and maybe getting it back to the throttle a little too early, or, you know, really just trying to find the best way to put down power and finding themselves scraping that wall on exit, and, you know, really trying to arc these corners enough to where they're kind of grabbing these walls on entry as well.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It just might be pushing a little bit too hard. The exit of the corner. And speaking of pushing a little too hard, did Brower do so? Because now Rambler, he's trying to figure out a way around. He's gotten to the rear bumper once again to the 3. Caution is out. Wyatt Franklin, Jake Zito, Michael Caffrey is slow on the inside as well. Take a look to see what happened here with the 77. Oh! He turned that 95 down the straightaway. I don't think it was anything intentional. I think he was trying to get up into the spot, but nonetheless, the contact was made.
Yeah, that looked like a case of trying to fit the wrong puzzle piece into a spot. And just unfortunate they get connected there.
Good job there by the 95, keeping it off the wall. Wyatt Franklin, fantastic job, keeping that car straight. Well, as straight as you can, you know. Not straight into the wall. Nice little 360 action there. So we move back up to the front, and nobody is pitting this time. Are you shocked?
No, not really. You know, they did just come down not that long ago, roughly about 10 or so laps, maybe about 7 laps on these tires. They have the brake at 50, so you know you got to go roughly, I'd say about 17, 16 laps on these tires, and you know that track position and that stage point, you know those stage points are going to be, you know, futile and rather important, especially, you know, with how these cars are handling. You don't really know if you're going to end up being one of those guys that, you know, slides off this corner and, you know, gets either run over, or you try to save it and overcorrect it into the wall. So having a little bit of a backup in the bank is going to be nice to have.
Well, and I mean, we've already seen guys get up just a little bit too much and scrape that wall. We saw Relling do it a couple of times, both off of turn 2 and 4. We saw Joshua Vidal get into it a couple of times, Daniel Krim. And I mean, these are guys that are running everywhere in the field. Some of them up front, some of them towards the back. It could really happen to anybody. And, you know, it's something that these guys got to really keep in mind when they're racing hard with somebody that, you know, yeah, if you push it too hard, you can smack that wall. And, yeah, these cars are tough, but you break a toe link, you're kind of done in rings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for someone like, Relling or Jensen right now, like they're trying to definitely try to get any points they can. I know Relling is a little further back around 15th right now, but Jensen's like right there within striking distance of getting, a top 3, top 2, at the stage break. And, Ramler's got roughly about, I want to say like 34 points, if I can do my math really quickly, about 34 points on him. So any points he can try to get in front of and take away from Rambler is just really going to help him in the standings.
Lonnie's jumped in, said, let's go 64. He's going to restart up in the 4th place, trying to get some more stage points. Come away with 7, I believe, with where he's sitting right now. But obviously, the stage win pays out 10. You want to get all 10. Jacob Brower, he's not going to allow that to happen very easily. This will be the first time that he's in control on a restart. See how early or how late he decides to go. Well, Jordan, that pace car is about to make that hard left turn once again. That's a cue.
Felt like that kind of jinxed or tricked me a little bit, but we're back under green, and Brower gets a good jump, leaving kind of Rambler sleeping. Kind of choked up that top line of Jensen and Fredericks there a little bit. But Brower able to pull away, and Rob Haynes able to take over the 2nd place spot as we see Jensen dive underneath Rambler there, trying to push that 73 forward.
Ooh, Brower got big time loose there. Had a moment coming up off a turn 2.
Yeah, it almost looked like he was trying to break a draft or something at like Indy. But you see Jensen kind of slide up on the Rambler a little bit there. Rambler having a little bit of trouble with this car right now.
Yeah, he's not really had a whole lot of time in traffic this weekend and for this week so far. His contact there, the 12th weight, slides up into the 33 of Wells. Both drivers continue on. Battle
yeah, and you and I both know that these cars are very aero dependent. So once you get into that dirty air, it's going to be very hard to keep that thing straight. You're really going to have to fight the wheel, and you got to try to watch from overcorrecting.
Speaking of overcorrecting, there was about 3 drivers who almost did right there. The 24 got up into the wall. The 84 down on the bottom side got a little bit loose. And when Relling saw that 24 up on the top side, he had a knee-jerk reaction to it as well. All 3 drivers obviously keep on going, but tell you what, man, this 135-degree track temp right now, it is doing a number on these tires. Take a look. It's 133 degrees right now. You can see on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, and just think like that we only are around 86 degrees here, in virtual Vegas, which for a lot of people in Vegas would say that's a cool winter day. So I think these guys are a little lucky not having like the temperature up in the mid 90s and really getting that temperature up in the high 150s possibly. That would make this thing even crazier. So I think these guys got a little bit of relief here.
But we still got 112 laps to go. And it's only just past 1:15 in sim time. So we've still got time for this track to heat up. We heard Rambler talk in the pre-race about he expected it to get up to about 135, maybe a little more. But seems like that's pretty spot on as we're just about 40 laps in. We're up 2 degrees from where we started this race, and I tell you what, these guys have been all over the racetrack as there's Renner getting up into the wall just in front of Wells and Vidal. So that little puff of smoke doesn't seem to hurt the car, hurt his momentum.
Yeah, and a touch here or there is not going to hurt you, but the more and more that these guys grab this wall, the more time they're going to have to spend on pit road. I say that as Vidal gets a little bit there on the backstretch. These guys are going to have to spend a little bit more and more time on pit road, cost themselves some positions. If they don't get it fixed, they're going to have a wounded race car. Ooh, Fredericks tries to squeeze back up in there, but almost grabs the rear end of the 26 there. But the longer you hang on to that damage, the slower you're going to be, and you're gonna have to keep that car as clean as possible through these laps, because I mean we still have about 110 laps to go, so you're only setting yourself up for a hard day if you're gonna grab that wall a couple more times.
And I think track position is really showing to be important at this stage in the game. Jacob Brower, he started in the top 5. He's leading the race. Rob Haynes in second place. He started 9th. Otherwise, Alan Fox, he's in 3rd. That's where he started. Jacob Jensen, he's dropped 2 spots from where he started. Pole sitter Michael Scott List Rambler, he's dropped 4. But the only driver who's in the top 5 who didn't start in the top 5 is Rob Haynes right now. Well, there's time for that to change, as here comes some hefty racing coming up off of turn number 4. 3 wide into the wall goes Pullen. Oh, rather, that was Renner up on the top. Still 3 wide as Wells trying to work through the middle. David Elliott on the bottom.
Man, these guys are racing these cars anywhere and everywhere they can, and I think they're even trying to make their own lanes as the more and more they grab the wall.
I tell you what, that Dylan
Renner.
Yeah, Renner getting up into the wall again. That safer barrier, it'll move just a little bit, but it's going to come right back to where it was as Renner, big time sideways coming up off the corner, gets a shot from the 84. Jonathan Cogswell nowhere to go, but into the back of Renner, and he is struggling right now with 7 laps to go here in the stage.
I feel like these guys have me on such an edge that half the time all I can get out is just,
Yeah, pretty much like that. Taylor Bertram just smacked the wall pretty good coming up off of turn 2.
I can just kind of only get that sound out because my words don't want to get together.
95 gets up there and scrapes it just a little bit. That's Wyatt Franklin. But Nick Renner, he was just up in the top 10 racing for stage points, and over the course of a lap and a half, he's fallen all the way back to 16th position. So now he's trying to take one of those back on the outside of Daniel Cribb.
Yeah, and he kind of found himself in a little bit of a hole once he grabbed that wall the first time. He got stuck. Oh, Jensen with a little bit of a slide there. Rambler going to pull up onto his rear bumper.
Right onto the rear bumper there, as now he moves down to the inside, trying to take away 4th place from Jacob Jensen, who just as we jumped in on him there, he was massively sideways coming through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, these things, these are tough to handle right now, and I'm not seeing, as I said early in the broadcast, I'm not really seeing when the tires fall off them kind of getting a little bit of stability. They're just still loose as all get out on these exits.
Up to 134 degrees for the track temperature right now, and that's just going to make these tires slippery, greasy. They're not going to want to grip anything in this heat.
No, not at all. The only benefit to that is that at least we're not in these cars, and we're able to be in the AC at our own homes and not feeling the actual heat of the car.
That is true, but you never know. Some of these guys, they might take the immersion factor very seriously. They might have set up their rig in a sauna. I'm kidding. Nobody would do that. But top 5, pretty much out to equal margins here. Brower's got just about half a second on Fox, half a second back to Haynes. Rambler about a quarter of a second back, and then another half second back to Jensen as we're coming to 2 laps to go here in the stage. Battles towards the outside of the top 10 here. Caleb Lamb holds on to the final position for stage points here, and there are 3 hungry drivers trying to take that away from him. Joshua Badal gets right up next to the wall. You start to see that car react to the air pinched up next to that wall. He's going to get a nice run coming up off of the corner. Chad Pullen doesn't want to give it to him. Big time sideways coming up off of turn 2. That was David Snook.
And running the wall seems to be a good line, but it seems like it's almost like a dirt track where it kind of has a cushion where you're running a really good line and able to have a good fire off in the corner, but the second you kind of cross over that cushion, there's nothing for you to do but go into the wall.
Jacob Brower, 2 more quarters to take home the stage win. He's got 3 car lengths Alan Fox was able to close in, but hasn't been able to close in enough. 0.3 of a second is the gap across the line for Jacob Brower to win the stage. Then Ramler, Haynes, Jensen, Fredericks, Thwaites, Koger, Elliott, and Lamb as the caution comes out here for the third time today. This one a planned yellow for the stage break.
You know, and that was a great stage. You know, we saw a lot of different lines being run, you know, seeing how difficult it is to handle these things. And, you know, I don't think we're done with cautions by any means whatsoever. But if we get long green flag runs and having to see these guys make green flag pit stops, I think we're going to see a lot of chaos where you're going to have cars on different strategies, different tire wear, and it's going to really cause for a lot of, you know, lap traffic to get in the way and really alter the way this thing's going to play out.
Another thing to think about here is this is one of the toughest 1.5-mile pit roads to get onto, just because of how tight the turn is coming up off of the banking. To get into this pit lane, it's so much further to the inside than, you know, like a Charlotte is, or, you know, somewhere else. So it's really tough to get in under green. You could definitely make a mistake on entry, and that's something none of these guys want, as everybody's coming in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not as drastic as Dover, but like I kind of think of like a Dover where, you know, you've got to go from your high speed down to, you know, I believe it's 55 or 45 here. You know, going 55. From that, yeah, 55. That's what I thought. But, you know, going from that, you know, 170, you know, in that higher speed to a 55 with such a short entry, it really gives me the thought of like a Dover pit road without that major banking to come off of.
Yeah, and you really want to make sure that the guy behind you is aware if you're going to come in and make that pit stop. Don't want to have somebody running on the bottom side. So the race off of pit road was close. I believe Alan Fox takes this one away over Jacob Brower and Ramler in third. Then Haynes, Fredericks, Jensen, Thwaites, Elliott, Koger, and Lamb round out the top 10 off of pit lane. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here under caution, and we'll be right back with the restart.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today. Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is
back live here at Las Vegas. Pace cars made that hard left turn. Stage 2 ready to get underway here. The green flag is out. Alan Fox leads him down, and a great restart on the inside by Brower. He's going to stay almost dead even with Alan Fox.
Yeah, and Ramler seemed to be sleeping a little bit there, or I wonder if maybe he had a little bit of wheel spin, but he did not get a good restart at all, falling back to 5th and under fire by Dalton Fredericks already.
Not what that 57 wanted to see on the restart. He's going to have a little bit to overcome as Dalton Fredericks looks up to the outside. He's under fire from Thwaites, and there is a bee's nest of race cars right behind him coming up off of the corner. Joshua Vidal makes a move up top. Caleb Lamb, he's going to fall back. He didn't like where he was, and now he's going to continue to get stuck in the middle.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he tried to get away. Oh, he's drifting up a little bit towards Renner, but you could definitely see him trying to get out of the middle of that nest there.
Very Wells gives him a little bit of space to get back down onto the bottom. But for how long? There's Storer getting a little bit loose. Lamb slides up the racetrack, and now here comes Wells down to the bottom.
Yeah, Lamb's going to have to cut back off and kind of regroup and regather himself so that he can kind of, track some of these guys back down. He kind of got stuck there in the middle and just wanted to kind of ease himself out, and now he's got to regroup.
Oh, contact there with Renner! And Relling! Hard into the wall goes the 42. I believe the 77 of Caffrey, or no, that was not the 77. It looked like Jake Zito was maybe a part of that as well, but he got away okay. Heavy damage on that 42, and he is out of this race.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a look at that one, because it didn't look like Renner got loose, but maybe they just both kind of drifted towards each other. But the replay will obviously show us. But
take a look from high above. So Storer's going to slide up the track a little bit. The 9, he might have been loose coming down a little bit.
yeah, and
That car was turning more than it should have, and it turned down into the 42.
yeah, it definitely did not look happy. But I mean, it looked like he was doing his best to keep it up, because it wasn't like a sharp turn in onto Relling there. It was a rather just slow and almost painful to watch turn into him. But I mean, I don't think there's really anything more he could have done there to keep himself off of Relling.
No, I don't think so either. Riding on board with the 9.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit of I want to call it like an arrow turn, where the car just kind of starts turning more because he's so close to the outside of Relling, and maybe Renner didn't necessarily know that he was 3 wide as well, and maybe thought Relling would move down, and just ultimately just kind of stuck there, and they both collect each other.
Yeah, that could have been it too. I guess there's no real way to know at this point. Alex Renning, Nick Redder out of the race. Jake Zito, I believe, actually did get a piece of that. We'll take another look, see what he might have incurred. Oh yeah, he did get a piece.
Yeah, it looks like he gets a piece of Relling as he comes off the corner, or comes off the wall.
Yeah, it's going to be some right front damage. So he's still in the pits getting that damage repaired. Been in for about 2 laps now. Alan Fox going to choose the bottom this time. Must not have liked how good Brower was on that last restart. Ramler made a pit stop that last time.
Yeah, I started to look for him because I was about to just start talking about how, that wasn't a good restart for him, and, maybe he can bounce back here, but he came back. Yeah, he came back down at 58.
Yeah, so he's
So I'm guessing,
gonna try a little bit of off strategy here.
yeah, definitely. Didn't come back down, and these guys were all last on pit road at the stage break. I thought maybe we would have seen some people come down more, but
Yeah,
again, track position is key.
only 3 drivers that time: Ramler, Krim, and Caffrey. Alan Fox gonna lead them down into the restart zone, and this time he's got a much stronger restart, and Haynes on the inside gonna get away with him.
Haynes going to just move up in front of Brower and solidify himself in that second place position.
Thwaites down on the inside of Jensen, trying to get to the inside of Brower, but not enough happening for him off of turn number 2. Brower gonna try to get back to the inside of Haynes.
Yeah, and kind of like what I said about Thwaites from last week, taking the little bit of an off strategy and putting himself in a good position. Kind of did the same thing here. I wonder what he did to get himself up that far. On that, it was about 2 or so cautions ago. Found himself, up in 5th place, and now just trying to hang on to the top 10 here.
Still a long way to go. 89 laps as they come across the start-finish line this time. And Rob Haynes getting closer and closer to Alan Fox, but it has been tough to make a pass for the race lead without a significant tire advantage. We saw Brower trying to chase down that 57 car early on in the race, and almost able to do it before that first caution came out. But we're going to have to see. We've got a long way to go, and when we talked with Ramler before the race, he was anticipating at least 2 pit stops, so we could see a third here in stage number 2.
Yeah, and like you said, with passing for the lead, it's a caution. We've got a caution on the racetrack again.
Joshua Vidal got around down the front straightaway, and he's got
Oh.
heavy damage to the front end. David Elliott, I believe, got a piece of it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just looks like they ran out of room, coming off that corner and nowhere to go. Oh, Vidal got a little loose.
Been there.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the theme of the night, where we have a little bit of just a loose off, and once you start sliding, you're just taking you're along for the ride.
Split decisions up front. The top 11 have stayed out. Gary Wells, the first of the drivers who have come into the pits, who has exited. I believe he took 2 tires. He's got a 6.45 second pit stop. Rob Haynes, Alan Fox, Jacob Brower, Michael Thwaites, Ted Pullen, Michael Caffrey, and Scott Rambler came in again. Taylor Bertram, Marco Evans, Wyatt Franklin. Jake Zito gets the free pass back onto the lead lap for car number 13.
Yeah, Rambler's not playing around. He said, I want fresh tires every chance I can get.
Well, that might be the way to go. However, you're only given 6 sets of tires for this race. So if you've gone through, 3 sets of tires and we're not halfway yet, that math doesn't add up. Gonna have to go longer a couple times.
The math is not mathing.
Rambler's back in the pits.
Getting another splash and go. He's really just taking fuel as much as he can. I would like to know if he took tires the last time he came in too.
I would have to assume so. He's in there for 14.7 seconds, so
Yeah.
I would assume that's 4 tires full of fuel.
But, coming down to get that little bit of splash of fuel and, I guess maybe just try to find where he can get to where he just has to take tires on the later stop and, kind of hope that it's a green flag. He just takes tires and rolls, doesn't have to wait on fuel.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe it puts him into a window where he can make it on one more stop from here.
Yeah, and I mean, you heard him say it's going to be difficult to really see people stay out long, rather long. He says he said you had to really kind of slow yourself down in the corners and, kind of almost come to just a creep around the corner. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of decides to push it to that anyway and try to play that, game. I mean, we are in Vegas, rolling the dice.
Yeah, not really anywhere better in the world to go for a gamble.
I'd still lose everything.
Maybe you shouldn't go to Vegas.
Hey,
Might not be
I
the
mean,
place for
Vegas.
you.
Vegas might love me to come to Vegas. You can take all my money.
They get enough of that. Coming to the green flag, top 11 stayed out. Top 10, rather.
And we've had a couple cycles on these tires, and I'd be very weary on really giving it a floor, foot to the floor on this restart. As the green flag's back out, we see Koger get a good launch off. Jensen kind of slipped a little bit there. Koger's going to just barely pass Jensen and take the lead as Jensen's just going to be right on his tail.
Redrick's all over the back of Jensen, got him just a little bit squirrely, and you can see guys towards the back already trying to go everywhere they can. Talking about guys like Jacob Brower, Alan Fox, all the way down to the bottom.
And this is what I was talking about, seeing these varying strategies and, tires on different levels and, different wear patterns. And I think it's going to be scary to be some of these guys with these fresher tires behind some people. And they're not terribly old tires, but, we've had a couple heat cycles. They've been on for 17 laps. The track is hot, so just as you're rolling around this track, I mean, you're basically melting rubber away anyway. So it's going to be nerve-wracking for some of these guys marching back through the field.
It definitely is. And that discrepancy in speed isn't going to get any better. I mean, the top drivers up front, they're already over 2 seconds. Oh, that was incorrect there. Logan Koger just ran a 10th off of his fastest lap of the race, which is significantly slower than Rambler's. Oh, 0.3 of a second slower.
Yeah,
Numbers in my head
and
confusing me. Anyways, we've got ourselves a nice battle here with Krim to the inside of Wells.
yeah, and on your point with the difference in tenths, those tenths really add up. 3 laps is almost a full second. If you're 3 tenths faster.
Yeah, exactly. And, that can really make a difference when it comes to how long you spend on pit road and what kind of gap you can make on somebody when that green flag pit stop happens, if we get to that point. So Alan Fox looks down to the inside of Krim and Wells, or rather Haynes. Krim was able to get down in front of that 73. Haynes up on the top side. He's going to keep that momentum. Fox dives down to the inside of Krim. Brower going to follow.
Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing right here like how important track position really is. You know, they're on fresher stuff, but we don't really see them marching by like they're sitting still. Like they're still having to fight for these positions. I know that, you know, Krim and Fox are only a couple laps separate, you know, versus that top 7 or so. But, you know, we don't see that top, you know, that 7th place car of Cogswell really just going up and making a pass on anybody easily.
Oh, he's got Wells to his inside now, going down the front straightaway. Fox is still trying to work on Krim. Meanwhile, up front, Kogar's starting to drive away. He's got about half a second over David Snook, who's worked his way up into 2nd place. Snook started 6th in this race. Did himself a pretty good job after we saw him involved in some earlier contact.
Yeah, and like I said, that fresher air, that, you know, being more towards the front is going to be key for these guys coming down the stretch and really setting yourself up for a better finish. I mean, you know, these guys are on older stuff, and, you know, those back cars really haven't made much headway. So, you know, track position is key, but, you know, I think fresher stuff is still going to prevail at some point, but it's not as key early in a run as you would think.
Coming up off of 2, Haynes on the bottom. Looks like Storer in the middle there. Lamb up to the top, and there's Wells using that 4th lane, not quite making it 4 wide. Oh, big time moment there for the 99. He might have just been trying to get down to the bottom, but if he was, that was very aggressive. Just past halfway here in Las Vegas. The XMS Ricmotech Cup Series brought to you by Extreme Scoring. I tell you what, that is a fantastic app. If I would have had these guys when I was running my league, instead of doing all that stuff by hand, it would have probably made it past that first season.
Oh, absolutely. And being able to make your own rounds and, you know, set up different playoff points and point structures, and just being like the custom, you know, customization of it alone is amazing. And it's truly awesome to look at. And, you know, I've gone through some of their from some of it, you know, while just looking up stats, and just seeing the number of things that you can do with it is truly incredible.
Definitely a must-have tool for any league owner out there who doesn't want to have to do all of the paperwork themselves. This battle has been on fire for quite a few laps now. Gary Wells trying to get back to the bumper of Fox. Brower to the inside of Wells. Fox was finally able to get around Wells and Storer and Thwaites and Cogswell. As there's contact coming up off of turn 4. Up into the wall goes Taylor Bertram. That car does not look healthy right now. He's going to get split in the middle. Well, he's still driving it hard.
Yeah, not really seeing... Oh!
95 got loose there coming up off the corner. Wyatt Franklin almost swiped doors with the 24 of Bertram.
Yeah, there's that sound back again. Just
somebody's going to make a sound bite of us just... Oh!
Over here sounding like Homer Simpson.
Pretty much. Sometimes this racing is just so good. I don't know what to say. These guys do things that most drivers wouldn't be able to drive out of. They just do it every other lap with relative ease. It's incredible to watch these guys get this job done.
Yeah, and they do it while also still racing clean. Like they don't really get into each other a ton. Like, you know, a caution or an accident is one thing. Like your wreck avoidance is all, you know, dependent on the driver, but these guys, you know, they'll give a shot here and there, or they'll kind of run the door, but they always, oh, is Ramler's going to push it 4 wide? That makes me uncomfortable, but he makes it work. These guys kind of maybe back off a little bit more for him to kind of make that pass, but you know, as I was saying,
and
like,
Wells got up into each other on corner entry, so I think they both had the same idea of kind of backing out.
yeah, they just they conceded the position and just raced to live another lap.
Jacob Jensen gets around Snook for second place. He's going to slide up, give Snook the chance at a crossover. Meanwhile, Alan Fox has allowed Jacob Brower to get in front of him. Michael Thwaites is trying to make that pass. Oh, going to slide up into Jensen just a little bit. Snook does. They both get away okay, and Jensen moves into second place.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a little bit of fall off here with some of these front runners here. Not terribly, you know, Haynes that time by ran at 32.14. The leader was at a 32.16. But the lap prior, I mean, he had a quite a good margin, like a couple of tenths on these guys that are on older stuff.
I think Jensen's in pretty good shape. Fredericks gets around Snook, crosses him over. Snook back down to the inside. Gonna be leaning on each other getting into one. Fredericks gets the position on corner entry, though. Brower is able to work himself up into 6th place, getting around Lamb. Looking at Rob Haynes for a top 5.
This is where I think Haynes is going to start sweating a little bit. You know, he was that first car that, you know, was on fresher tires, and now you've got that fast car Brower to your inside, lap car coming up, probably going to use him as a pick. And you see Brower just kind of breeze by Haynes there. I wonder if he saw what was coming and just kind of decided to back out himself.
That is definitely possible. That was Douglas Carlson getting up into the wall out of the way. Going to continue to do so. Here comes Brower now to the inside of Snook. Try to take away, and does take away that 4th position. Back up front, though, Logan Koger. He's got Jacob Jensen all over his rear bumper. Top 3 still on older tires. Jacob Brower, the first driver, came in on that lap 63 pit stop.
Yeah, and I think now we're starting to see these guys get a little bit slower than those fresher tires. You know, last time by Brower was a 31.9. You know, the guys ahead of him were, you know, in the low 32s. So, you know, we're seeing it kind of get to the point where those fresher tires have more life than the older stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely looking to be that way, and Jacob Jensen, I tell you what, he wants to make this pass for the lead as quick as he possibly can because he sees that blue and green 3 getting bigger and bigger in his mirror. However, Koger, he's going to take his lane away. He moves up the racetrack, doing a little bit of aero blocking, mirror driving, whatever you want to call it. All is fair in love and racing, as now Jensen moves down to the inside. He's going to try to send it here on entry into 1, but Koger blocks off the lane. Jensen doesn't care. He gets right up to the rear bumper, stays down on the inside. He's going to get a fender to him, but Brower's clear for 3rd place. He's got to run. Jensen moves down to the inside. He's going to try to take the lead. He's clear for the lead. Koger now has Brower to his inside to fight. Jensen gets all the way up next to the wall, cuts all the way back down to the grass. He's got the lead for now, but Brower clear into 2nd. He dives it down to the inside for the race lead. Jacob Brower going to try to take it away, and he does so. He gets clear.
Yeah, and like we were saying, it hasn't been easy to watch these guys pass when they're on equal tires. But once the tires are on different schedules, you know, we're really seeing those guys able to kind of just make that pass with ease, as where some of these guys on, the same tires with Koger and Jensen there, Jensen really had to put in the work to get around that car.
Yeah, he had to put in a lot of work. It took him a couple of laps to set up that pass. And yes, the faster car was able to get around. However, the faster car, being the 3, he was able to make very quick work of both of those drivers with those fresher tires.
Yeah, and you can just see him really kind of pull that lead away, and not entirely set sail. I wonder if he's kind of backed off a little bit, trying to save a little bit of tire, but keeping himself in front of Jensen. And Haynes has actually fallen back quite a bit. I wonder if something might have happened to him. He was right there with Brower, kind of marching through the field, and now we find him sitting just at the end of the top 10 right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, if these guys maybe pushed it too hard at the beginning of the run and things kind of equalized out, but, Alan Fox, he still sits in 5th place. Michael Scott, List Rambler, he's just now getting around David Snook. Michael Thwaites also came in for fresh tires. He still sits in 8th. Rob Haynes, like you mentioned, came in for those fresh tires. Ted Pullen as well. They're running 10th and 11th, respectively.
Yeah, and like you said, I think maybe Rob Haynes pushed it just a bit too much, trying to get back to the point, and maybe trying to get out front into that clean air so he can save stuff. And we saw Brower, on the same pit strategy, kind of just go by him. I know that lap car was in front of Haynes, and he may have seen it as a just kind of let him go situation, but now I'm starting to wonder if maybe he did just burn up stuff, and that was also kind of in the decision to kind of let Brower go there.
It could have been, and he's not really letting him get too far out in front. Staying within about a 10th, in terms of lap times. Half a second is the gap right now.
Yeah, and I think Brower, is doing a little different kind of mirror driving. He's not doing a defensive mirror driving, trying to watch where Jensen is and trying to hold him off. He's just more of trying to maintain a gap so he doesn't use up his stuff, but keeping himself in front of that 64.
Koger comes into the pits. He's the first of our lead lap drivers to make that call, and I was just getting ready to say Alan Fox moves up into the top 4 after passing Koger. He's within 2 seconds of the race lead, and these last couple laps around, he has been quicker, with the exception of this past one where he made the pass on Koger.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Koger just saw these guys that were coming up on him and just decided to bring it down, or if that's kind of the strategy if we're going to see Jensen and some of these other front runners that stayed out come in here soon as well.
We'll have to see as Frederick slides up the racetrack now. Fox is going to get to his inside. This will be a battle for 3rd place. Fox about 1.7 seconds, 1.8 seconds off of the race lead. It's clear into 3rd place. Now he's got Jacob Jensen in front of him to try to chase down.
And Jensen's he may be a few tenths off of the leader, but he's still putting up decent enough times to kind of keep himself up there and not really having to worry a ton about these cars that are running him down right now.
Well, he's trying not to, but Alan Fox is mighty quick right now. He's getting into some dirty air with that 64. Starting to slow his lap times down just a touch. Might be at the point where these tires have kind of equalized out. But obviously the advantage still goes to Fox over Jensen here, but he's not able to carve through the field like we would have expected.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's almost kind of where Brower's gotten out far enough. I wonder if it's actually helping Jensen, for the time being, essentially giving a false clean air to those cars, so where they're able to kind of hold off and kind of aero block a bit. You know, I know now that the 73's to the outside of him, he's going to be able to pull around and pull away. But for a moment there, it seemed like with Brower having, you know, that 1-ish, 2-ish second lead, he was able to kind of basically simulate that he was the leader and in clean air.
That is a really good point. Good way to look at it there. So now we got Rambler down to the inside of Fredericks. This is for 4th place on the racetrack. Alan Fox just outside of 2 seconds behind Jacob Brower for the race lead. Keep an eye on that gap. Last time they were 100th off of each other. We'll see if that cleaner air can allow Alan to chase him down. Still got a pit stop coming our way too. Marco Evans just come into the pits.
Yeah, and we see Jacob Jensen now coming in, and as well as David Snook following in suit. So it's going to leave them around 50 or so laps to make it to the end. I'm not entirely sure the fuel mileage. I missed that note, but I don't know if tires are even really going to be helpful enough to make it that long. So these guys that are, you know, out there running right now on those fresher tires than that group, they're going to have a lot shorter of a run, you know, and able to kind of push it, I think, a lot harder than some of these guys that are coming in now, and, you know, make it a one more stop race.
I completely agree. We heard Ramlick talking in the pre-race about how the fuel saving to try to push it to the end of that first 50-lap stage, we were going to have to run way too slow to make that happen, so it just wasn't going to be worth it. Now we're looking at 49 laps to go instead of 50. I don't know if that one lap is going to make all the difference that they need. Yeah, they didn't run those parade laps or that parade lap, but I don't know. It feels like it's just a little too much to ask. Caleb Lamb and Jonathan Cogswell come in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because these guys are now going to be running slower than the you know, Jacob Jensen, you know, and you know, Bertram, Franklin, Cogswell, like all these guys that are starting to pull off now, they're going to be running slower. So I mean, it's going to be easy for them to get that lap back, and you know, the longer these guys, you know, string this out, it could also kind of flip to where these guys are going to be able to really run down these guys, get that lap back, having such fresher tires that they're going to be able to just easily, slowly pull these guys back around to start passing for position, and may start to force these guys to possibly pit sooner than they're really hoping to.
Yeah, you want to be the first to pit last in most of these cases, but I don't know. We see Logan Koger getting around Rambler there. Obviously not for position. Koger with the fresher tires. Koger currently sits one lap down. He is the first car one lap down. Jake Zito, the last driver on the lead lap right now. Just about half a straightaway in front of the race leader, Jacob Brower. 45 laps to go across the line this time. Dalton Fredericks coming in. Now I think this is about where the window starts to open. 45 laps to go or less, I think, is a lot more manageable than that 49-50 range. I mean, anything is possible for sure, but this is where I think you want to start thinking about making that pit stop. If you're a guy like Jacob Brower, you came in on 63, this essentially splits it in half. Granted, we do have some caution laps, but here comes Alan Fox in from second place. He's going to try the undercut.
Yeah, and to your point with Brower, if he's trying to just split it in half, he's at least going to know how he can run, because he's just done that run. So he'll at least have a better idea of how hard he can push versus these guys who are doing the undercut. They're not really going to know what's too much or what's too little. You know, you never want to leave anything out there, so you know, you want to kind of push as much as you can, but you're not really sure how hard is too hard. You know, Brower running already you know, a halfway, but you know, in the stage, and then splitting the stage or splitting this last stage, he's gonna know how he can run. He can run this throttle, that throttle, whatever. He's gonna know how to run his car.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot more experience on these older tires. The further he pushes it, plus the further he pushes it, the less time he's going to have to spend on that final set. So I can see where the appeal is. It's just, now you're starting to get into a range where you're obviously going to be undercut. You're going to get passed by Alan Fox, who came in a couple of laps ago. Now you want to try to stay out long enough as to where your tires can be just that much fresher, and you can take advantage of the freshness of those tires and reel him back in. Because I believe the 3 car, I tell you what, it looked like he was running the bottom there to come into the pits, but he is not, as Logan Koger is going to unlap himself here with 41 laps to go.
I feel like if it were me out here, in Brower's position, I would look at, say, Jensen or so. That's where I think your biggest battle is going to be. I would look for, him to be anywhere from roughly 15 or so seconds behind you before making a pit as Brower comes down now. It takes about 46 seconds to go from end to end with pit stop. So as long as he is within a certain window, he's going to kind of come out either right in front or right behind Jensen and company.
I think he's definitely going to get overtaken by these guys who pitted before he did, but he's going to have the chance later on in the race on fresher tires to get those spots back. Thwaites, Pullen, and Vidal all come in as well. Logan Koger should inherit the race lead after Ramler and Haynes make their pit stop. Koger getting around. Brower just getting out of the pits now. Jensen gets around him. He's going to have a hefty gap on him. Haynes and Ramler come in, so Koger is going to inherit the race lead, but he still has one more pit stop to make. He last came in on lap number 94. There's no way he's going to be able to make it 56 laps on a tank of fuel.
Yeah, and it sounds so daunting, and it sounds like such a large task. Like, I just don't see how, almost 60 laps is going to really help him here. I think it's going to get to a point where he's just going to start getting ate up. I know it's only a six lap difference with with Jensen and Snook there, but you start looking back here at Ramler and Brower, where you're looking at almost 20 lap difference on tires. It's gonna really come into effect towards the end of this thing.
It definitely is. We close in on the final laps of this race. 37 to go next time Koger crosses the line. Jacob Jensen in second place. Going to be tough for him to make it 50 laps on fuel. Keep an eye on that. Alan Fox up in third. 1.7 seconds behind him. David Snook is about half a second back. Then another 1.5 back to Jacob Brower. So 2 seconds separate Fox and Brower. Keep an eye on those lap times for you. Let you know which one is quicker each time around. That time it was Brower by a couple of tenths.
Yeah, Brower is definitely a man on a mission right now, and I'm just hoping that doesn't cause him to overrun his stuff and wear his stuff down enough to where he ends up costing himself, the win here. Because I feel like he's been the most dominant car. We saw Ramler there for a while, but he fell back and hasn't fully recovered. I know I say he hasn't fully recovered, but he's in seventh. But for Ramler, that's a seventh is a long ways back. And but Brower here, he's really been the class of the field tonight, and I just hope he's not pushing too hard.
Well, we're going to find out here over the course of the next 35 laps. Brower gets down to the inside of Carlson. Now to the inside of Snook. This is going to be a battle for position. This is for fourth place. Jacob Brower to the inside, and now nobody between him and Alan Fox. Fox moving down to the inside of Jacob Jensen to try to take that spot away, and I said nobody in between those two, nobody for position. Jensen tries to get down to the bottom to block Fox's run. Nothing doing there. Fox is going to be able to move up as Douglas Carlson gets up into the wall once again. He has stopped on the infield. No caution yet. He's going to get her back going. They stay green.
Man, that would have thrown a massive wrench into all of these plans right here. See, Brower's already pulled up on the Jensen here.
Right up to the rear bumper, and less than half a second separating him from second place. Alan Fox. Jacob Brower moves to the inside. He's going to make that pass with relative ease.
I think Jensen's saving here. I feel like Jensen knows that he's on a different strategy and maybe kind of holding back a little bit so that maybe these guys get up there, start battling for the lead. I think he's going to keep these guys within view, but those guys get up there, start battling side by side, really wearing out their stuff, switching lines and heating up the heating up the tires. Kind of like what happened to Jensen and Ramler and Fox early on in this race, where Brower was able to just make a fast charge up to these guys and pass them with ease. I think maybe Jacob Jensen took that into his book and just kind of said, we'll see if that works out. If it doesn't, worst comes to worst, he's still in a top 5 position. So, I mean, I think that could be kind of where he's going right now.
Over to the inside of Fox, trying to take away second. This will effectively be the race lead. Now you got to wonder if Fox is doing any saving as he's let that 3 get to him. He's fighting him hard up on the top side, not letting him get away.
And that's kind of going right into what I was saying about Jensen. He's probably watching these two right now battle it out, thinking, yes, like keep it up, get into each other a little bit, get the wall. He's probably hoping for these guys to really wear out their cars, just trying to make a pass on one another, and him be sitting in that catbird seat, able to just pounce.
It's going to be tough for him to save enough stuff, especially considering the fuel number he's got to hit. 50 laps is going to be a long way to go. Fox not letting Brower get away, though. Brower keeps nosing out front in the corners, and this time Brower is going to get clear. Fox all the way up the racetrack, nothing he can do. Jacob Brower moves up into second place. These guys are chasing down the race leader very quickly as well.
Yeah, Logan Kogar is definitely a little slower than these guys. He's roughly almost a second off of these guys, about 7/10 off of Alan Fox, and just under a second off of slower than Brower.
That massive difference in the lap times there is Brower is able to drive away from Fox now by about half a second. Got 28 laps to go at the moment. Things separated out for the most part all over the racetrack. Fox not letting Brower get away, though.
No, and it's kind of, maybe he's doing a little bit of the same. I see Jensen's really kind of falling back, so, maybe I was wrong on that front. And maybe he's just trying to get this thing home. Like we said, that 50 laps is a tall task, but Fox kind of laying back, saving up a little bit for a good, nice hard push there at the end would be something that I would imagine is going on right now.
Rob Haynes to the inside of Jonathan Cogswell, trying to take away 11th place. Haynes on 9-lap fresher tires than the 84. It's all the way down next to the grass here, trying to cut as much distance off of this racetrack as he can to complete that pass, and he's going to have her done getting into turns 1 and 2. Put Rob Haynes up into 10th place. His next target is Caleb Lamb, who is also on older tires than Haynes. So Rob going to try to get himself up into the top 10.
Yeah, and we're seeing how these varying strategies are starting to play out. You know, those guys that stayed out instead of pitting, are kind of struggling a little bit. You know, here as we wind down, as we see the 76 driving away, no caution yet. Don't think we're gonna get one.
He had an incident coming up off of the corner, got loose. I believe he kept it straight. Take a quick look. Yeah, got up into the wall, down into the grass.
Definitely a great job keeping that thing straight. We've seen many people bounce off that wall and instantly kind of get turned left and just go sliding across the front stretch.
Well, Rob Haynes was able to get around Caleb Lamb for a top 10 spot. Now he's looking forward to David Snook. See if he can get around that number 41 machine. Ted Pullen was just able to get around him. That was a pass for 8th place. Marco Evans going to come into the pits, get some service done after that hefty wall contact. Dalton Fredericks under fire now from Scott Ramler.
Got really close to that wall on exit there.
Just about dead even across the line, but the inside lane is going to be the one to prevail, getting into turns 1 and 2. Brower continues to add time to his gap here. It's 1.3 seconds over Alan Fox in second. Logan Koger has fallen back to 4.5 seconds back. He's only 1 second in front of Michael Scott Ramler, who is, well, he's coming fast.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if Kogar's just kind of riding this thing out and hoping it leads him to a better, better finish. I mean, he's up roughly 7 spots, about to be just 6, but having a plus on that grid position is always a thing to be happy about.
Absolutely, as Koger has to come into the pits this time, he will. It's going to put a lot of guys up forward 1 spot. Jacob Jensen back up into the top 5. Good recovery for him. He's still got a long way to go. 20 laps on this tank of fuel. It's going to be tough. Not impossible. David Snook trying to catch back up to Ted Pullen here. He's within a car length down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and I mean, Pullen would be happy just to be 7th or 8th. I don't think he would complain either way, or even 9th. You know, he's up 18 positions as he sits in 7th right now. So for him, I think he's looking at any position within where he's at right now as a win for him tonight.
Two seconds is the gap up front. It's 5.5 back to 3rd place. Ramler now got around, I believe, that was when Logan Koger came into the pits. Got up to 3rd place. He's still just a couple of hundred slower than your race leader, but with 17 laps to go and 5.6 seconds to overcome, he's going to need a little bit of help.
Yeah, and I can definitely hear Ramler. He's going into the corner and then just clutching pretty much halfway through the corner.
Yeah, he's clutching early. So if he's got to save this much, Jacob Jensen, he's...
Jensen as well.
Is Brower saving? Did Ramler potentially try to get a little bit less fuel in his car so he can spend less time on pit road? Got 16 laps to go here in Las Vegas. Who does the gamble pay off for? Jacob Brower, he's got a strong lead. It's 2.3 seconds.
You know, and I see Ramler actually kind of dropped off a little bit while he's trying to save here. He was around 5.5-ish seconds. Now he's almost 7 seconds off of the race leader.
Yeah, continuing to fall back. He's got to be thinking he's at risk of not making it if he's falling this far off.
Which that's going to make it interesting for someone like Jacob Jensen, who, you know, pitted 10 or 11 laps earlier than Ramler. So if Ramler's saving,
Well, we know Jensen is saving. We know he's saving big time. He probably has been this whole run. But as we ride on board with Jacob Brower, he is not saving, and he came in 1 lap before List Ramler did. So we're going to have to see. Got 13 laps to go for Jacob Brower, and he's got 2.5 seconds over Alan Fox. Doesn't sound like Fox is saving either. He came in on lap 106.
yeah, it's a rather interesting call. I'm interested in what is going through the mind of Ramler here right now.
Jensen just had a moment there coming up off of turn 2. Waits is going to get around him. That's going to be a pass for a top 5 position. See if Jensen can make a run back on Thwaites.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be able to do that very easily. Thwaites is looking here to possibly make it, you know, back-to-back weeks with a top 5 finish.
Coming to 10 laps to go here in Las Vegas. David Snook looking down to the inside of Caleb Lamb. It's going to be for 9th place. Lamb loose a little bit up on the top side. Comes down the racetrack, but still gives plenty of space to that 41. David Snook going to make that pass happen. 10 laps to go for Jacob Brower. Alan Fox sits in 2nd place, 3 seconds behind. Scott Ramler in 3rd. He's 7.2 seconds back.
Yeah, I don't hear him saving at all anymore. He's definitely all go now.
Yeah, especially running that top side of the racetrack.
Still seems to be kind of stuck at that 7 second you know, differential there from the race leader. So I'm just really interested in that strategy call there by Ramler, and wondering what he was saving for.
My guess is that he tried to maybe take a little bit less fuel and crunch the numbers, take less fuel to spend less time on pit lane, and miscalculated just a little bit, had to push a number. That's my guess, but well, he's currently 3 seconds out in front of Dalton Fredericks, so he should be on the podium. Jordan, you might be able to ask him about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's smarter than I am, so, you know, he's a racer, so I would love to pick his brain. Anything he can give me for the next time I actually hop into a car, I'm going to take that and put it in my notebook.
Yeah, I would definitely, I mean, I would take notes from a lot of these guys. They are crazy good week in and week out, and This is one of the toughest tasks, one of the toughest challenges that we've seen for these drivers all season so far, having this hot of a racetrack. As we get into the end of the race here, we'll get one last look at our track temperature. It's down 1 degree from where we started, so we've cooled down to 130.
Oh, that's a cool track to them. That's nothing.
Yeah, we were up at
130 degrees.
134 at the highest. I don't think we hit that 135 mark. Back down to 130 at the moment, but with 6 laps to go, probably not going to have much time for that to change.
No, and I don't see a ton of things changing right this moment. And I'm almost kind of thinking here, maybe Rambler was kind of hoping for maybe some people to get into each other as they got to the end here. Maybe he wouldn't have to come down and get anything, fuel-wise. And I don't know, I'm so curious.
But you can see on the bottom here, we've got our pit stop strategy, stint length. Everybody basically up in the top 5 went the same in stage 1. Pit on that lap 20 caution. It came back in on the stage break. Rambler, obviously, he's taken a few extra pit stops there, but you can see 47 laps on the first run. 35 so far, going to be 40 for Brower on the second. Then a guy like Fredericks, who's already pushing 40 at this point, he's going to be at 44. So he went 54 laps from the end of stage 1 before his first pit stop, obviously, or in the second stage. Obviously, that was slowed down by a couple of caution flags, but
Yeah, and he's definitely going to be happy with that 4th place finish. Possibly if one of these guys up front, which I don't see it happening, if one of those guys, have a slip up, maybe kind of pouncing on them. He's under fire by Thwaites right now. As Thwaites gets right to the inside, kind of looks like he got him a little bit loose there.
yeah, if this was, maybe 2 or 3 generations ago, that definitely would have gotten that 20 car really loose coming up off of the corner. These cars have a lot of rear downforce on the underside, though. Able to keep that 20 car in line. But Thwaites, with 3 laps to go, going to try to take away that 4th position. He's gotten down to the inside. He's going to send it down into 3. Can he get to the inside and pull off the slide job? 2 laps to go for your race leader, Jacob Brower. He's got 4.8 seconds. We got Kilo in the chat saying, tech that 3 car.
Yeah, I mean, he's come out of that restart, or out of that green flag pit stop, and just kind of been on rails and just said sayonara to everybody.
Well, Jacob Brower had himself a spin and win last night. Not going to be quite as adventurous for him today, but he's definitely not had it come easy. One of the strongest cars at the end of the first run. Almost took the race lead on older tires. But through strategy and things falling his way as David Snook looks to be out of gas down the back straightaway. No sound coming from that car. Jacob Brower, he's going to come up off of turn number 4. He's going to grab the broom and he's going to sweep the week here in the XMS League Racing. This time it's in the Ricmotech Cup Series as he gets the job done in Las Vegas. Alan Fox in second, Michael Scott List Rambler in third. Thwaites, Fredericks, he's got heavy damage to the front end of that car. What happened on the last lap? Try to see what happened here with these guys racing just a couple of laps to go. Jacob Brower, he's gonna burn it down. We'll get you those pictures in just a few moments.
Yeah, it looks like Dalton Fredericks is actually tracking down that 12 of Thwaites there.
I believe this is coming to the white flag. Yep, that's the white flag in the air. So usually Fox doesn't show the last lap crashes. We're going to take too long to do so. Does he get into the back of the 24?
Oh, he's loose.
Oh, he hits Krim.
Oh.
Oh, and Krim goes upside down. Anyways, we'll get you back to the checkered flag. Let you watch our race winner burn it down, and we're going to go ahead and talk with our podium drivers. All right, and we'll start off with third place finisher Scott Ramler. Well, it was not the ideal day starting from the pole. Had to overcome a little bit of adversity, getting back in traffic to come away with a third place finish. Walk us through your day and what was pushing that McConey setup shop Toyota Camry.
I mean, it was a solid day. Brower was clearly the class of the field. He was wrapping the bottom like nobody's business. Congratulations to him, by the way. I just couldn't figure out that line that he was running. Fox was doing fantastically. I think, honestly, if I had not jumped the gun a little bit on the fuel strategy and trying to get down pit road to fill myself up on one of the earlier cautions, that I might have been a step or two up the podium, but overall it was just solid. Really had to baby this car around to keep the tires under you. If you were driving into even a little bit too hot, you would scrub the right front, and if you were getting on the gas too early, you'd blow off the right rear. It was a very, very challenging race with as hot as it was.
We saw a lot of you guys struggling on those old tires, but that last run, you guys pushed it really far. I think you went 40, almost 47 laps on your first stint there. But we saw you have to do a little bit of saving on the tail end of that last run there. And so I was just wondering if you were trying to get at a certain fuel number when you came into pit, or what was the reasoning for that clutching?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what was going on. I don't know if my automated crew chief or whatever pulled fuel out of the car, but I should have easily been able to go the 48, 47 laps on fuel without having to save the way I was doing, but I ended up about half a lap short and was already trying to dig myself out of the hole that I made earlier on, so that got a little bit hairy. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it across the line. I started sputtering in two on the cool down lap, so that was a little bit close for comfort.
Well, you got the job done. You finished on the podium here. Who do you want to thank for such a strong run here today at Las Vegas?
Thanks to McConey Setup Shop and Jeff McConey for jumping on board. I say his name all the time. He has been a huge supporter of everything that I've been doing. Has sponsored me across multiple leagues, and has just been an awesome guy to me all around. Thanks to AJ and all the boys at All Star 15 TV and Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. Thanks to Joe and Gary for running HSR, and Wells Esports. Thanks to Ed and all the admins for running the race tonight, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting the race. I hope we put on a good show for you tonight.
Oh, you did, as you always do. Thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon.
Hopefully so. I haven't finished less than 8th this entire season, so if we keep these podiums up, that championship's going to be a lock.
Yeah, buddy. All right, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, see it.
All right, now we'll jump in with our second place finisher. Jordan, I believe you've got Alan.
Mr. Alan Fox, it's the boys up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going good. Guys put on a good race, a good strategy race at that. Some early cautions, but a good long, green flag run to end this thing off. And you seem to have been making a lot of headway on Brower there towards the end, but it kind of seems like you kind of died off a little bit there. Kind of managed a gap from him. Was it something with the car? With maybe tires getting too worn, or what? Take me through that.
There was a moment after that last restart where we were in the middle of the field and I hit the apron and got loose and had to completely get out of it and lost like 2 seconds on him. So that set me back on strategy. The last run, I had actually gotten by him on pit strategy because I short pit and the 64 chopped my nose off in the middle of 1 and 2. So I had to slam the brakes and slid the right front. And after that, I just had no grip.
Yeah, it seemed like tires were an absolute necessity tonight. Track temps up in about the 134, 135 degree area, and was there really handling fall off, or was it more just like fresh tires? Was a little bit more sketchier because I feel like we watched the guys come out with fresh tires and they were kind of sliding around a lot more than on older stuff. So, how was the handling?
Well, it's crazy. I don't run these cars a lot. This is actually my first cup race this season. So I mean, you watch it on TV, and they're out there just every lap pounding these things, and there's no fall off. So I hop in, and that first round, that's what I'm doing. And then I figured out, okay, you really got to hook the bottom. You got to go easy because once you get about 15 laps on those tires, you got to really just take it easy in 3 and 4, or else the back end will kick out from you. So yeah, the older the tires, the harder it was to drive for sure.
Yeah, well, you definitely managed it well. Come away with second, just one spot short. Before we get you out of here, anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, that was a good run by Jacob and Scott and all those guys. It was a good, clean run to the finish. It's always great when we get all those green flag runs there. So, yeah, those guys, and then Extreme, you guys for doing the broadcast. Neonism, the painter who did my paint here. It was a special thing that I ran back when I tried out for the Podium 500. So, nice to still have that kicking around here on the broadcast for you guys.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it up here, and good luck next week, and we'll be talking to you.
Thanks, man. It'll be nice on Tuesdays to get away from those short tracks. I'm happy to go to a big track like Indy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Indy for sure.
All right, fellas. You guys have a good night.
You as well.
All right, now last but not least, we've got our race winner, Jacob Brower, in the house. Well, it seems like it was only yesterday we were talking to you about a race win.
Long time no see, guys. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Matt. You drove a phenomenal race. We've got people in the YouTube chat asking for you to be teched. What was under the hood of that thing, and was it anything like Michael Waltrip's illegal jet fuel?
No, man. Vegas has always been my favorite track. I mean, I played NASCAR games on 360 and Xbox One since I was a kid, so I really, 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 really like Vegas.
Definitely seemed to be a track that suited you, and the hot temperatures didn't seem to throw you off at all. You rang that bottom like no other throughout the course of this race, pretty much doing the Kevin Harvick line in Atlanta. What was what was it like going through these longer runs and racing around through the traffic?
I'd like to just give a shout out to everybody that was in the race tonight. To have that much green flag racing at a track like this with it so hot and the car is so hard to drive, it takes a lot of talent, and definitely it was. I was telling the guys I was in a Discord with, I could have finished 10th and I'd have been smiling just because all the green flag racing. It was a lot of fun. I hope it was fun for you guys to announce too, because in the middle part of the race there's a lot of strategy going on. There's about 3 or 4 different types of strategies.
Yeah, there definitely was. There was numerous strategies, especially on that last run. We saw guys coming in right around 100. You came in at lap 110. I think the 57 came in at 111. We saw guys come in about 5 laps earlier. A couple of them tried an extra pit stop there in that final stage. So strategy was definitely crazy fun to watch. Yeah, I have to agree. Shout out to everybody in this league for doing such a great job today. And it was an awesome race
Shout
to
out.
watch. And
Shout out to you guys for announcing too. I listened to a little bit of it. My wife was watching it. You guys definitely made it entertaining to watch, and we appreciate you. All of us do.
well, we appreciate you, Jacob. Drivers like like we have in the XMS Ricmotech Cup Series and even the Elite Xfinity Series. They that's why we do this. Anyways, back to you. Walk us through that final run as you're chasing down, racing really hard there with the 73 Alan Fox.
So he's short pitted. He's known for that. I call him the short pit king. He short pitted about, I think it was 5 laps. You guys probably know better, 5 or 6 laps. And I knew he was going to do that. I wanted to go as long as I could. I only had a lap left of fuel when I pitted because I knew that if it was going to go green, that having the better tires on a longer run was going to prevail, and thankfully it did. Him and I raced pretty hard for 2 or 3 laps. We were side by side, and it was a lot of fun. I love racing with Alan.
Well, you throw together another awesome race here. You come away with the win. Before we hand you the broom so you can, sweep this week off, who do you want to give a shout out to for such a strong performance?
Again, I'm going to give a shout out to everybody that was in that race tonight. You guys up in the booth. I mean, it don't get much better than that, in my opinion. With the track as hard as it was to drive and the skill level it took, I saw a lot of 3, even 4 wide racing, a lot of really clean. Shout out to Alan, shout out to Scott, for racing hard but clean. And, again, just shout out to you guys up in the booth for doing this every week. We all appreciate it.
We appreciate you guys putting on this show week in and week out. We definitely couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you. And, hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon. Your record's been pretty good as of late.
I appreciate it, guys. 10-4. I'll see you next week.
Well, that's going to do it for the interview portion. We'll go through our finishing results as Jacob Brower takes over the race win over Alan Fox and Scott Ramler. Michael Thwaites, Dalton Fredericks round out the top 5. Then we've got Jacob Jensen, Ted Pullen, Caleb Lamb, Rob Haynes, and Daniel Krim rounding out our top 10. After that, we go to Jonathan Cogswell, Brandon Storer, Logan Koger, Joshua Vidal, David Snook, Taylor Bertram, Stephen Timko, Jake Zito, Gary Wells, and Wyatt Franklin rounding out our top 20. We've got Marco Evans, Douglas Carlson, Michael Caffrey, David Elliott, Nick Renner, and Alex Relling to round out the field. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media, spending a Wednesday night with us, and watching some amazing racing action here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm Liam Ervig with Jordan Brockle. This is us signing off, and just that friendly reminder as you guys walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Thanks, folks.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.